further ado, let me introduce our first team today. They are called OurHouse.
Hi there guys, thank you very much for being here today, and please bear with me because I am very nervous, so apologies. So I'm going to give you a brief introduction of OurHouse. OurHouse is a property management application. This is aimed at private landlords and tenants, and the idea is to cut out the middleman being estate agents and property managers, and I'm all sure you're aware of how expensive they are. The idea was to allow tenants to communicate directly to their landlords and vice versa. We created functionality allowing tenants to directly talk to their landlord through live chat, and also allowing them to be able to report any maintenance issues through taking pictures, 360 images, and so on. I'm now going to pass you to Niall, who's going to give you a brief demo of the app. Cheers, thank you.
Thank you. Hi guys. So this first video is going to be a walkthrough of how the website works. And this is going to be a landlord logging in. He's going to add a new property, and he's going to add a tenant to that property as the tenant is moving into the house. Over here on the left, we have when the next round of rent is due, some information, and we have a property chat room, which will be talked about in the next video. Over here on the left, the landlord has created a new property, he submitted that information, and now he's adding a new tenant to that property. On submission, he'll be able to see some of the details of the tenants who live in the house through a selection. So he's going to log out, and in this next video, we're going to see from the perspective of a tenant. This tenant is going to log in, and he's going to be presented with a dashboard of information about his tenancy, and John, the tenant, wants to create an issue because he's found an issue in the house. He selects what room it is, gives it a brief description, and will go on to show what area in the house the issue is in. So this is our 360 bit, we're pretending this is our house, and those colors you saw were different areas on the wall, and we kept it to one wall just for this presentation. But that was the overview of how the website works. This next video will just show how the chat function works. In this, the landlord is logged in, and he's just letting everyone know that he's going to drop some furniture off at the house. Then John will log in and respond. Cool. This next video is going to be a short walkthrough of the app, and the app is very similar to how the website works. John is going to sign in on the app, roam around the app, and he'll be able to post an issue. As soon as he's posted that issue, it will be available to see on the website too. Cool, that's it from me, guys. Thank you. I'm now going to pass you on to Alan, who's going to speak about the tech stack.
All right, so this is our tech stack. I'll give you guys a moment to take that all in, because I'm just kidding. That's not our tech stack. That is our tech stack. Okay. Once we kind of came to an agreement of what kind of project we were going to make, we kind of split up and researched and spiked out new technologies that we want to utilize. The biggest challenge that we foresaw early on was how to incorporate VR aspect into our design. But in spite of this, we wanted to also challenge ourselves and learn new technologies. We went to test out all the knowledge that we'd accumulated over the first 9 weeks of the course, and bear in mind that all the technology that you see on screen now, only React is the technology. Only React is one that we have had any experience with prior to project phase. So having said that, I'm massively proud of what we've achieved as a group in such a short space of time. So back to VR, we chose C# in the end because we looked at something called Unity Engine to build the VR aspects of the design early on. All the documentation and tutorials that we looked at utilized C#, which is why we ended up going down that route. So the backend is built on Microsoft's ASP.NET Core. This, for those of you in backend on the course itself, this is Microsoft's equivalent of Express.js. So it manages the controllers, the models, and communication with the backend database. The backend database itself is an SQL server, which is hosted on Microsoft Azure's cloud computing platform. It stores the property details, tenant details, and also all the maintenance issues that we log from the front-end website. For authentication, we use Firebase authentication to manage the tenants and landlord logins. And also for the chat functionality that you saw earlier, we utilized Firestore. So based on the scope of all the new technologies we had utilized on backend, we decided to kind of choose a solid foundation for front end, and we chose React for the website since that was something we were all kind of comfortable with. But for the mobile app itself, we chose React Native and A-Frame ultimately for the VR aspects. So I'll pass you over to Michael, who will talk about the React Native and mobile app of.
So we decided to use React Native in order to create our front-end web app. We did look at other UI toolkits, but felt that with the time frame that we had, we felt that using React Native and the React experience we had would be a lot more transferable, because having only 2 weeks is not very, very long, especially with all the tech that we decided to use. We felt that using React Native would be best placed just because the docs for it are absolutely amazing. And to anybody that's going onto a project, I definitely recommend using tech that has great docs because it's so much more helpful and it saves so much more time. We also went with React Native for authentication. So we knew that using React Native and implementing Firebase with it would be a lot less time consuming because we were using the same sort of code for our React front end. We also had some issues. We had some problems with Android Studio. It was more so to do with actually trying to download it and put it onto our computer. And we spent actually 2 days trying to rectify this before we decided to give it up and go down another route. But my colleague James will go over this. Cheers.
So as Michael mentioned, I kind of took the lead on building our VR experience. So I chose to use a piece of technology called A-Frame, which is structured quite similar to HTML in the sense that you put things inside tags and whatnot, which made it a kind of an easier transition than some of the other options like Unity. We also dealt with some challenges on during the projects. So our kind of immediate challenge was breaking our kind of big idea down into an MVP. So we kind of got together over a series of days and really boiled down that idea into something that we could do really well before we branched out and did other stuff. We had some issues where people would kind of get stuck in code and want to kind of keep plugging away at it when they weren't really making much progress on their own. So we got someone to sit with them and pair program. And that kind of fresh set of eyes really helped in breaking down those barriers. And usually issues were solved in just a few minutes that kept people stuck for quite a long time. As Michael alluded to, we did have some issues with Android Studio. And I think the other group did as well, which led us to choose Expo in the end. And that kind of hot reload feature and the ability to see the live updates of our code was really useful in development. On the subject of kind of working for long periods of times on one thing, we kind of needed to figure out and become comfortable with taking breaks when we were coding. Rather than trying to code for long stretches, we kind of made sure that we checked each other and made sure that we were taking the appropriate breaks. And in some cases, made sure that we were actually leaving and getting some sleep rather than just napping on the beanbags. And finally, we just had to take an ambitious idea and really try and distill it down to something that was realistic when taking into account our time frame and our required skills. And I think we did that really well. I'm going to pass you on to Kate, who's going to talk about the lessons we learned.
Thanks. Okay, so I'm going to talk us through the project journey that we all went on. Yeah, it was pretty intense at times, but it was good. I got some thoughts and feelings about how people felt going into projects, like pre-project phase. So at the end of doing front end, which I think some of you guys currently are, yeah, we felt enthused. Some of us felt a bit lost. Some of us were a bit like, what am I doing here? Like, how did I get to this stage? And then others, like, woohoo, project is great, it's exciting. So yeah, kind of a mixed bag of feelings going into it. And then we entered week 1. So week 1 is a stage that I like to call hope/naivety. It's something you all experience. You go in and you're like, I can do anything. Like, I passed like the main course. I'm amazing. You are, but it's going to be hard. So yeah, we got some thoughts up here. So excitement, optimism, hopeful, and at home. And this is my jam part. I don't know if any of you guys have seen that Spider-Man movie where he's like walking down the road and he's like, we were like that, but we were like C#, easy. Yeah, React Native, easy. Yeah, kind of be realistic with what you kind of want to achieve, which kind of takes us into week 2, which was denial. We thought that we could take on the world, and we could take on some of the world, but we couldn't take on it all. So yeah, some more feelings. Fudge, for want of a better word. Shoot. Yeah, the list goes on. The why working mainly refers to Android Studio, which is, it took out 2 of our best men. It was pretty hard going, to be honest, but like we persevered and we got through it. So yeah, that was week 2, which was denial. And then from denial, we turned to acceptance, which was week 3, and has been my absolute favorite week in the whole of North Coders. As you can see from here, like we're all sleep deprived. I'm shaking like mad because I literally am just like running on adrenaline at this point. We're all like so satisfied with what we've achieved, elation, proud. I mean, we came up with this incredible product, and I'm looking at you guys, and I feel like a proud parent at this point. Like, we actually did something incredible, and yeah, it was really good. So yeah, acceptance. And moving on to our lessons. So the biggest and like the most important lessons for, I think, our team in general, collaboration and like coming together, having those daily stand-ups, sometimes having like 3 stand-ups a day, whatever you need to get through and whatever you need to like have that support from your colleagues, make sure you just speak about your issues. We were quite transparent with what we were struggling with, and we made it so that if anyone was a bit unsure or a bit uncertain or felt like there was too much pressure, there was like 2 of us that jumped straight on and were like, right, we'll help you out with this. And it worked really well because it meant that we all ended up having like a back-end experience and a front-end experience, so we got like the full stack. Full stack, cool. But yeah, so a couple of us worked with SQL and then React and Firebase and React Native, and it was wonderful. And the next part, try to have, oh, no, not yet. Spoiler, you weren't supposed to see that. Yeah, try to have fun when you come to projects and like be creative with what you want to like achieve. A lot of the stuff we spiked out, like the 360 stuff, the augmented reality, a lot of us are planning on meeting up after this and actually cracking down and like getting on with these projects because we have so much fun with it all, and we're all super excited for like what the future holds. Before we do the spoiler thing, just want to say a massive thank you to our tutors, one of which is at the back, for like, yeah, Paul, we see you. Woo! Yeah, I know all of us are super grateful for how much time and effort and you put a lot into us, and I hope we've made you proud and like shown you what you can get out of it. So yeah, massively grateful for all your help. And now we're going to show you something that we probably shouldn't, so hiring partners maybe look away. We went a bit mad and lost every single marble yesterday. Yeah, we thought we'd try and do an infomercial for it. I'm just going to let you watch and you can see. Thanks.